I see 16, some reports say 18 blue states attorneys general have decided to sue the president, challenge his triggering the National Emergencies Act of 1976. If we have a judiciary with any level of integrity, and that's a big if, they will lose, and they will lose badly. The president has legal authority going back 43 years to 1976, and he also has access to the funds authorized by Congress. The law under which the president is acting was authorized by Congress. The funds and the ability to move them was also authorized by Congress. There's no constitutional violation. There's no separation of powers issue. There's no statutory violation. You see, because unlike Obama, who created a law, DACA, where there was no statutory or constitutional authority, this president of the United States is complying with the law. And the same Democrats, led by Pelosi and Schumer, among other spectacular demagogues and hypocrites, who defend DACA to this day, including some of these phony Republicans, they defend an unconstitutional law while attacking the President of the United States for triggering a thoroughly constitutional law. Certainly the way he intends to use it. And I've also heard it said, it's a talking point now, that a Democrat president could use this law for gun control. Does anybody know why that's not correct? Because we have what's called a Second Amendment, a Bill of Rights, a Constitution of the United States. The president cannot do unilaterally, nor with the help of Congress, that which the Constitution doesn't permit. It has nothing to do with gun control, nothing to do with the Second Amendment. It's the National Emergencies Act, and just because the Democrats, like everything else, want to pour their radical ass agenda through the Constitution doesn't make it so. And here's the irony. Even among so-called constitutional conservatives who are phonies and moronic, who make this point, you have the blue states and others saying that Trump is violating the Constitution's separation of powers by invoking a law that Congress passed 43 years ago. Meanwhile, they are asking specifically activist federal judges, they are court shopping, to substitute the activist federal judges' political and policy views for that of the elected president of the United States. They want the judges to say what constitutes a national emergency in lieu of the president of the United States. A federal judge with his or her 3 law clerks sitting at a lunch, eating bologna sandwiches, they're the ones who should decide, not the President of the United States, who runs the executive branch under our Constitution. And they want you to believe that we need the judges to intervene and make political and policy decisions because they disagree with what the President of the United States is doing from a political and policy perspective. They want judges to pervert the Constitution so they can impose their own will. The framers of the Constitution never agreed to this. Now, which does more damage to the Constitution? The litigants, the ACLU, the Democrat attorneys general, and the rest who want judges to make political and policy decisions? Or the president triggering a law that's been in existence for 43 years, used over 50 times, including over a dozen times by Obama and George W. Bush alone? Which does more damage to the Constitution? Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you see blue states lining up over there with the ACLU and the media, you know they're not there to defend the Constitution. And when you see our president, who has carefully and painstakingly gone through this process, a government shutdown, then waiting for them to negotiate, then triggering the National Emergencies Act of 1976, then carefully deciding from where he can move funds under existing federal statutes created by Congress. Who's complying with the Constitution? He is. He's complying with the Constitution. I am so sick and tired of Ron Johnson, of some of my friends right now, I won't name them, but I will in the future, sitting there in the Senate pretending this is a tough decision. Pretending that it's a tough decision. And here's the deal. The statute that Congress passed allows Congress to override the president, but the president can veto them. So there is a participatory aspect to this. The president is following a law he didn't create. Hell, the law was here 4 decades before he became president of the United States. Does anybody remember a single so-called constitutionalist in the House or the Senate objecting to the National Emergencies Act of 1976? Objecting to Obama using it? Objecting to Bush using it? Does anybody remember Marco Rubio leading the fight against this? Of course you don't. Because it's Trump. And he wants to apply it in a way that will actually help the country. More when I return.